Ivy Valentine subscribes to Mark Yoon. So should you. Enjoy your treat!
I wanted to try something new on my channel, and since I'm having such a phenomenal time with Stellarblade, I wanted to try to share the wealth, so to speak. So far, the puzzles are very reminiscent of like Resident Evil, and this is the first one that reminds me of Resident Evil 5 and like that laser cave room that you had, and this is actually the ancient ruins in which you meet Quiel when you actually fight her before you enter the ruins.
로얄 가드 퀴엘. 여긴 아무나 들어갈 수 있는 곳이 아니다.
아니, 우린 오르칼님의 부탁을 듣고 여기 온 거라고요.
그렇다 해도 자격이 없는 자를 들여보낼 순 없다.
자격?
그래, 나를 쓰러뜨린다면 들여보내주도록 하지.
어쩔 수 없구나.
여기까지. 알파 네이티브를 처치한 실력을 과소평가했던 것 같군. 너와 겨룰 수 있어 영광이었다.
이제 들어가도 되겠지?
그렇다. 알테스 레보아는 오래전부터 네이티브의 침식이 진행되어 왔다. 지금껏 살아서 돌아온 사람은 없어. 하지만 너라면 기대를 걸어보마.
Okay, so the first thing that you have to actually notice is there's two above ground actual stairwells that lead to two offices in which you need to actually activate those switches. There are surprise enemies in some of these, but there's also some rewards, so I do recommend actually checking out every single one of the rooms. Now, the only tricky part that comes to this is how you're going to come across. I actually tried jumping multiple times, which I will fast forward for this video. But it seems that there is actually just a switch at the end of the door in which you just clip that and it will allow extension over to the other area where you need to gain access, because that's where the first door opens when you access that first control room. The first thing you'll notice in this room is the actual fusion core battery placement, where you need to actually place that to open that door, and you'll see a bunch of canisters with Natiba inside, and these will come into play later. Don't worry, they're not going to jump out and attack you during this segment, but there is some puzzling to be had here, which is probably where most people are going to have the brunt of the issues with this actual part. But again, like I said, it's very reminiscent of that Resident Evil 5 underground scene when you're actually doing the solar lasers to each other. So if you've played that, then you pretty much got this off the jump. But I'll show you exactly what I did just to get it done a little bit faster. And there are rooms on both sides that actually need to be explored. If you up to the door and there's no way to open it, it's probably not going to stay open. That's just like a corridor or a category to go over there. But you just need to get those two switches up on the top to gain access to both ends of the stairwell, which is fairly simple to do. And then like it's just like a jump. You don't even really need to like dash jump. I just do for extra good measure. But there are some enemies up there. There's not really too much difficulty to be had here. I think the only difficult part of this is that you're in kind of a first-person shooter mode, because you're not actually able to use your blade just because of the fact there's some electromagnetic interference. Now, when you activate the first laser here, you're going to see that it's going to come out the side of the wall. So now you're obviously going to need to make your way down the stairs in order to start moving those mirrors around. I say mirrors for lack of a better term. They're more like solar panels or just like laser receivers. I don't know. Now here we actually see these solar panel-esque kind of receiver things, these like mirror things, and you can actually move them. They're not that difficult. It's like any other operation in the game. You just hold R2 and L to actually rotate it around, and then let go of R2 and just use L to be able to push it in any direction that you want. Now, some of these aren't going to be like just rolling in that area. You're going to have to move some of them to like a completely different section of the room in order to receive. You can see right here, it's like not lined up or directly with that fusion core receiver over there. So you do have to put this where it lines up in front of it directly. You're going to be moving this one again just a tad to receive the other laser that's coming from behind. So I put it here, but I also recommend moving it backwards a little bit. We're seeing all these over here. So what I wanted to do is just line it up, because I remember that puzzle so much from Resident Evil 5. So where it's going to be like almost a direct hit for each one of them. They're going to kind of L-shaped laser beam bounce into them. So here's just, you can see the placement of what's going on in here. I did not do this one to break the glass, so I might have to go back and do that part of the puzzle later or on my second playthrough. But for this first playthrough, we're just going to solve this puzzle. So there we see the laser is hitting the wall that's coming from the ceiling, or the wall that actually is where it is generated from. So you'll see that it's actually aiming directly to the center of that shield and pointing off in another direction. So what we're going to do is grab this one, and we're going to try to maneuver it in order to hit the other mirror, or set up so we can push the other mirror in that direction. Now, if you get hit by this laser, it will damage you, but it will not kill you like it did instantly in Resident Evil 5. But if you do destroy these glasses, then a T-Bow will come out and attack you. Now, luckily, the laser damages them too, so they're not that hard to take care of, but there are a lot in the room. So if you just willy-nilly start like blasting through all of these canisters, you will probably get overwhelmed pretty quickly. So I recommend just trying to avoid that in general. Now, if you're laying on them for a second or two, they're not going to blast. It takes a couple hits for those canisters to be destroyed. So if you're pretty quick with moving it around, you should be able to avoid actually damaging most of the canisters. I think I only got like 2 or maybe 3 open, but the rest all stayed hidden. Now, if you want experience, this would be a good way to farm if you want to do it one at a time and actually, you know, get rid of them one by one. You can gain that SP up so that you can unlock more special abilities, but that's up to you. These lasers are easy to just jump over, so you just want to pretty much maneuver them around like I'm doing to receive them. They're going to be set up in a way where it just like goes in a giant square basically. So next I move this one that's hidden in front of the glass, just so I can receive it. The glass can't be broken on its own natural means. That's probably got to be blasted by an actual laser, which I should have done in this playthrough. I apologize. I will try to get that one done. But we're just going to move this, like I said earlier, so you're going to make this like a little L. It's really not that hard to do. You just like push it and move it, and you can pretty much get a good gauge of which direction you need to move in with the laser in order to get it to line up nicely with that other laser. And like I said, try not to get hit by it because it will damage you, but it's not an instant death, so you don't have to worry too much about that. Just move this one to the right enough. It is going to hit some canisters, but like I said, if you're on it quick enough, I think you can see in the gameplay, if you hit them fast enough, they're not exactly going to just burst open and attack you. It does take a couple hits. I put it on that one for a little bit so you can see how long it takes, but you can also just like laser them before they get to you, which I thought was kind of fun. Make it so that like you're not spending too much time on this, so that you don't have to actually face all of them unless you want the gold and the experience from them, which also might be a good strat for later on if you want to try to go up in another gameplay. I would recommend doing that, I guess, if you just want to farm some easy points to help your special level go up. So now we see it as hitting the door, and you see one over there. These are easy enough to jump right over, which is how I got around. So next you want to move this one that is second to the closest to the door that you entered in by the ladders, and you want to move that all the way over to in front of the door behind the 2 tanks, in between the 2 tanks, but behind them. And you're going to make that another L shape so that you can actually connect that laser to that first laser. It's going to be pretty simple to do. And this is actually the second to the last one that we actually have to move. It's not that difficult of a puzzle, but like I said, some people may be confused. So you just move this again to the right a little bit, and it's going to line up and hit that laser. Now, if you set up that first laser, you're pretty much done here. But if you're like me and you actually didn't move it back enough in the first time, you're going to have to just go adjust that, which is fairly simple enough to do. But you see like where it's already lined up. So you just got to move over and move that to the left a tad bit and back. And if you move it to the back, it should just reflect directly off of that fusion core. Only difference is this one's moved to the left instead of the right like the other ones have been. But once it connects, you get the cinematic, you unlock the fusion core, and we're going to go from there. That's where you actually pop out the fusion core so you can enter that to go into the door. I really like the way this room looks. I like how it's very like Resident Evil reminiscent, and it's not like wasteland cyberpunk like it is above ground. I thought that was a pretty cool touch to have some different, you know, kind of settings for the game to take place, so it's not just like completely boring. But we're just going to go here and put the fusion core in the door and open up the door, and that concludes this part of the puzzle. Thank you for watching and checking out this Stellar Blade video. There are more to come in the future, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. It's always appreciated. Or join the Discord to chat with us and more like-minded familiar people, and there's gameplay and a bunch of other stuff that's on there and exclusive stuff, so check that out and join the Yoon-Fam if you want to become a member of this channel. But I want to thank you guys for watching so much today, and as I always say, I love it. Thank you.
And thank you.